For as long as I can remember, I've lived among dangerous people. The world that shaped me wasn't a friendly one, but rather the dark streets where violence was treated as an everyday language. Every corner of the city, every narrow alley, seemed to hold a story that could change someone's life in an instant. I heard terrifying tales of people eating human flesh at the border, stories that sounded wild, unbelievable to most, but in our world, things like that were never entirely impossible. I knew the Vice Lord's gang could take a life for just $40,000. They didn't wait for a reason, didn't care who the victim was. Motorcycle clubs whose reputations were built on cruelty ruled their territories as if their law carried more weight than the police. There was even a C-list celebrity named Slim, whose face had once appeared on baddies, but behind his calm smile was a secret world of the streets, far darker than anything the cameras ever showed. All of it was just fragments of an environment that always haunted me, shaping a vigilance that never left my body. But all of that was only the surface. The weight pressing hardest on my chest came from within the family circle, the very place that was supposed to be safe. My cousin's boyfriend hacked into my Gmail account. To most people, that might sound trivial, just a minor nuisance in the digital world. But to me, it felt like someone walking into my home, opening my closet, touching everything that was supposed to be mine alone. Privacy, identity, secrets, all of it exposed. When I left for the halfway house in Texas, I didn't take my phone with me. I thought it was a small decision, maybe a careless mistake I could live with. But that choice opened a wide gap. My Gmail account was hacked while I had no way to protect it. When I tried to log back in, the screen demanded confirmation from an iPhone, not mine, not a device I recognized. That foreign hand had slipped into my life, peering into every step I took, waiting for the right moment to strike. My relationship with my cousin's boyfriend was bad. My cousin was still very young, only 20, a white girl too easily influenced by the whispers of others. Meanwhile, I, with mixed black and white blood, had always lived on the streets, facing the harshness of a world that offered no mercy. There was a tension that couldn't be explained, something that floated in the air every time my name was mentioned in front of him. We never touched physically, never crossed any line, but I could feel his hatred like thick air pressing against my chest. I only knew one thing: he didn't like me, and I suspected that hatred had now become a weapon. With access to my Gmail account, he could turn a single click into a disaster for my life. In the world I came from, once your identity is exposed, once your secrets leak, you can lose more than just your reputation, you can lose your life. And that fear clings to the bone, reminding me that every step, every message, could be used to bring me down at any moment. Every night before leaving, I closed my eyes with one thought repeating itself: I must stay alert. No one can be fully trusted, not even the blood that runs through my own body. This world is harsh, and I must be harsher to survive. At the halfway house, I sat in the middle of the room, trying to force myself to stay calm. But calming down was not something easy when you knew there were eyes always watching. The atmosphere around me felt warm and quiet, yet there was something heavier than the air, a tension that could not be touched, the feeling that every step and every movement could be observed. The criminal world had its own language, a language without sound, without words, but sharper than a knife ready to pierce the skin. This language flowed through body movements that were almost invisible, yet each symbol carried the meaning of life or death. I remembered the lessons once taught to me. Scratching your cheek was not just a random gesture. It was a simple question: are you armed? The answer did not need to be spoken. If yes, the weapon was simply pressed against the wall, or a hand placed on a hard surface. If not, you looked at your palm or checked your nails as if you were just bored. From the outside, it looked ordinary, harmless, but for those who knew, it was a dialogue full of danger. Someone trained could read this message from across a crowded street, catching every intention, every threat. That day, something made my blood freeze. An old man walked into the area. He was not a resident. I knew that the moment I saw him. A COVID mask covered half his face, a cap pressed low on his forehead, and dark glasses hid his eyes. An oversized navy blue shirt hung on his body, and a thick gray beard added to the menacing aura, a frail shadow that felt even more terrifying than someone young and aggressive. The gate opened like a garage door, and a van drove inside. I knew the rules of this place. No outsiders were allowed to enter freely, but the old man just stood there, 20 feet away from me, staring straight as if I were his target. There was something in his gaze, a frightening calmness, like an animal waiting for its prey to make a wrong move. I tried to stay focused, forcing myself not to turn, but the window glass beside me reflected another figure. From there, I saw a man sitting hunched in the chair behind me, his elbows pressed to his knees, his body tense like a spring. ready to react if ordered. Then the game of silent language began. The old man raised his hand, touching the tip of his nose, a simple sign, a brief question, "Are you listening?" As if responding, the man behind me tugged at his earlobe, a code that he was waiting for instructions, ready to move at any moment. A moment later, he scratched his cheek, asking, "Was there a weapon near me?" I sat up straighter, holding my breath, every sense focused on their movements. In a world like this, one mistake could be fatal, and I knew, from that moment on, there was no place truly safe, not in this room, not on the streets outside, not even in my own mind. The old man nodded slowly, a small gesture that sent chills down my neck. Then he began to walk closer. From the outside, his steps looked casual, like a man walking without purpose. But to me, each strike of his foot sounded heavy, like a thud pressing against the space around me, making the air feel denser and time slow down. I stood up, holding back the trembling in my knees, then began walking away toward the upper part of the complex. I didn't run, just quickened my pace, but enough to show that I was ready to face something worse. His figure followed every one of my moves. From the corner of my eye, I caught each shift of his body, every step placed with precision. My mind kept replaying the worst scenario. If he pulled out a weapon, I would only have seconds to react. At that moment, the gate opened. For an instant, I imagined freedom, quick steps toward the exit, the night air that could save me. But before I could get close, before I could say a single word to the guard, the gate slammed shut again with a heavy thud. The chance vanished just like that. My breath caught, my chest tightened, as if an invisible rope had wrapped around my neck. The old man now sat calmly under the gazebo, his posture relaxed, as if he were enjoying this performance. His gaze was fixed on me, never wavering, his eyes never blinking longer than they should. There was a clear message. Even without words, I know you cannot run. In rising panic, I made a reckless decision. I approached the guard, lowered my face, and in a hoarse voice said that I wanted to kill myself. It wasn't the truth, but it was the only idea that crossed my mind to get out of this situation. If they believed me, maybe they would call for medical assistance, and that would mean the gate would open again. That would mean I had a chance. While I was speaking, the old man stood up. He grabbed a bicycle, flipped it over, then spun the pedals with his hand, as if testing an escape route if the gate were to open again. His movements were precise, calculated, like a chess piece waiting for its turn to strike. Every second dragged on, my breath unsteady, my body tense against an invisible threat. I was taken to the hospital that night. The cold neon lights swallowed the old man's figure, yet his presence continued to haunt my mind. Every second in the hospital felt long. Every sound, the hum of machines, the footsteps of nurses, the knock on a door, reminded me that the threat could appear at any moment. The next day, they released me, as if the incident was just a small matter that could be forgotten. But I knew better. I could feel his trace still there, clinging behind me, waiting for the next chance. That suspicion lived on, pulsing in my chest like a heartbeat I couldn't control. The thought that someone was still following my steps stuck firmly in my eyes and my mind. Every locked door, every empty corridor, even my own home no longer gave me a sense of safety. My nights were haunted by paranoia, by sounds that might only be my imagination, by shadows that might not be just shadows. Since that night, I realized that in this world, even behind doors locked tight, safety was nothing but an illusion.